with Player One Lost, and I will be hosting another episode of I Play Game, and we will be playing Towns again. We'll be going into a little more detail about more in-depth options of this game, and we can go ahead and load up our last map. And one thing you're going to notice immediately is that we now only have 2 citizens. I'll let the game run on a little bit to build up some farms and stuff since we had already gone over it. But I wasn't too worried about my only 2 citizens now because right now I'm going to go over priorities and happiness and how to attract more people into your town. So this is going to give us a perfect opportunity to do that. Basically everybody died because of the graveyards, and in the last patch they added the option, or added events, and one of the events is to spawn zombies, and zombies come from, your graveyards. I wasn't aware of that. Apparently there's another event that spawns werepigs, and werepigs suck and they killed our town too. So, we're down to 2 people, but we're going to bring that number up here in a little bit. So, I'm going to look into the priority panel here. I'm going to pause the game before we do that, just to go over a few things and hopefully not have any zombies attack us while I'm going over that stuff, because that would kind of suck. So the default is baking, then harvesting, then mining and digging, then tilling and chopping, and build items, construction, wall construction, butchering, then hauling, which is moving all your stuff, building buildings, and trading, and then finally feeding your animals. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch my baking and my harvesting down, because honestly, we got enough food for right now, and I'm not too worried about it. Plus, when we get more people into the town, I'm going to have groups set, and I'm going to go over that a little bit as well. And their groups are going to be specific to doing harvesting and baking, so we can leave these at the bottom. And mainly the priority list is going to be meant for people who aren't in groups, who have designated one job, so they'll continue to do things that will be on this priority list before they go on and do other things. So first thing I want to do is build or make my item construction my #1 priority, because with not having a whole lot of people here, I want to build items that will increase our happiness. I'm eventually going to change this to my typical way that I do this, and my typical way is to go ahead and have buildings at the top. You know what, actually I'm going to do it now. Trading is my second thing. The only difference is hauling is normally my #3. But I'm going to leave item construction up there at the top one. I then have people do mining and digging, and this is important because once we dig into the dungeon, the first level, I usually dig out that whole thing, because that's a great source of stone that you don't really have to completely destroy the area you're actually building on. So I'm then going to push feeding up to underneath building construction, and then butchering will go underneath tilling and chopping, and we'll set it at this for now. Alright. If you go and click on your Citizens tab, you also have the ability to make 10 different groups down here. And I'll go into more on this when we get our civilians, we get more citizens in our town. Because right now, making groups for 2 people, not going to really be too productive of our time. So, I'm also going to hit auto-equip on my first guy here, because there is armor over here, and there is a spear that he can go ahead and pick up, and hopefully that'll help out. Alright, now we have our group set. And our priority set. We're going to go ahead and start building happiness items, and usually you can find this on your right tab underneath the decorative, which is the potted plant. So I'm going to go in here, and my first thing I'm going to do is build statues, and I like this wizard statue. I don't honestly know if it builds up great amount of happiness because of what it is or not, but this is what I found to work. Since you have a lot of people who are going to eventually harvest and build things, and they're going to spend a lot of time in your little farm, building statues out here is a great way to build up happiness really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and build a statue every 4 spaces, or every 5 spaces. So I'm going to have 4 spaces in between them building statues. I know there's a mechanic online somewhere, if you're going through the forums or you're going through the wiki, it's very easy to find, and they talk about happiness and what it requires to get new citizens in your town, and how the ratios work. And I believe it said somewhere that every 6 spaces your people will look for an item that will help increase their happiness. So they'll just like randomly look around in their environment, and if they find something they'll want to look at, they'll go ahead and look at that and be like, oh, that makes me happy, and they'll go ahead and use it. So we're gonna go ahead and dig here, and since my mining is actually lower than my hauling, I'm gonna go ahead and move it up so that they stop moving things around and they focus more on digging out some stone so they can go ahead and build up their these statues to increase their happiness. Because right now we're at 12 out of 20, and that's not great. That's not gonna get us what we need. We obviously need to get to 20, and we can get some more people in the village that way. So I go ahead and sped up time here for us, and we'll get these people working on getting us some stone. And now he's got some stone, he'll go ahead and start building up these structures. And it's really important to get these statues out here. And then we're going to go ahead and have them make them work in the farm. And then when they start working in the farm, that'll actually allow them to see these more often. And that'll help increase our goal here for bringing in more people. Eventually this will become more intricate, and I'll be using more happiness items within their rooms. But right now I'm going to stick with this. And now we're at 15 out of 20. We're getting to a little bit closer to our progress here. I'm going to actually go ahead and start making our groups for when our people are going to start coming to our town. My first group I'm going to make is harvesters. Go ahead and approve that name, go to change jobs, and then what you do is you go ahead and disable everything in here. Normally they're all enabled, but apparently I was messing with it at some point. So you're going to disable everything, and you're going to set their one job that you want them to do. And you continue doing that all the way through. So I do bakers. I do item builders or construction. And for this one I set them both at building items and building walls. Then I have a group that I set specifically to digging. One for chopping and milling. One for moving items. And then I also do one for butchers. This is probably one I won't actually see quite a while later in once I establish everything. You usually don't do too much with as far as butchering animals and using meat, because I'm not too good at it yet. I still have a lot of kinks to work out in my system, so I gotta go ahead and figure out a great way to make that process work. Looks like we're out of stone here on this first area, so we're going to go ahead and mine out some more real quick. We did reach 22 happiness, but apparently it wasn't long enough to bring in some more people, so we're going to have to go ahead and wait a little bit. Now mainly you want to build your decorations in areas that your people are going to congregate the most, and they'll spend a lot of time in. So if you have a lot of harvesters in your team, then doing this way is going to be a great way to boost up your average happiness. And they're always going to go to the room and sleep, and they're always going to go to the dining room and eat. So building items that will attract their, or build up their happiness within that area is a great way to do it as well. And I tend to put one of the grand clocks or grandfather clocks into their bedroom. Oh, it's just a clock now. And I also do a architect board, the carpenter architect table, which I can also do right now as well. But I'm going to let them focus on building these statues first. And good thing about the statues is they're going to constantly be working, and they're going to have a good balance between working, eating, and building these items. And right now we also only have, we don't have any food available. We're gonna have to go ahead and set their priority back up real fast to harvesting, so that they can go ahead and get some food real quick for themselves, because they're gonna starve otherwise, and we don't want that. So they're gonna go ahead and pick some fruit to the minimum requirements that I want. And one thing is, once they reach a certain point of their hunger, they're going to start to slow down. They won't go as fast, and which can really cause an issue, because when you get to about 6 levels into the dungeon or lower, depending on where your entrance is and how far they're into the dungeon, if they go too slow, they're not going to make it back in time, and they'll start starving. So it's really important to keep a good amount of food available for everybody, so that starving is never really an issue. And another problem too is keeping supplies nearby, because if you are forcing them to go search all over the dungeon for whatever item they need, then they will take longer to make that construction. And sometimes, I don't know if it's a glitch in the game or if that's the way it's specifically designed, but they will get too focused on a task and then they won't stop in the middle of the task and get food or sleep. They'll just continue working until the task is complete. We're at an average happiness of 23, and hopefully in the next turn when the sun comes up we'll get some more people, but it may take a little longer. But no, it didn't. Great. So we got 2 more people into our town, and that'll help us out quite a bit, because it'll allow more people to see all our stuff and see those decorations, and they'll become happier along with the ones that we have here too. Apparently one just died. Probably got in a fight with something. It looks like he got involved with a froggy on his way to town. And since I don't have any soldiers right now, we just lost one of our first immigrants. But that's okay, because the happiness is kind of staying at a steady level. So, and hopefully with the new gravestone that they just built, that it won't create some more zombies in here that we don't want. Now, it is very easy. I can simply just delete the corpses and delete the gravestones, but, you know, it's an element of the game that they put in there, so I like to go ahead and use them and just play the game as it should be. Even though I do have my sieges set to easy instead of normal. I mean, I am kind of being a little lame on that end, but... Alright, now we have 9 citizens and 2 soldiers, so we were able to bring up our happiness that we can continuously increase now, and it's going to steadily continue on going up as more people come in and more people see the decorations. They'll rebuild after it drops down, because it drops down every time we get new immigrants. So I feel that we have a steady supply of food coming in, and I feel that harvesting is being done pretty well, and that our bakery is going pretty strong as well, and that these people are pretty set with their tasks. But as you can see, some people just standing around and they don't really do anything. This guy here, who is set to the chopping group, all his job is to chop some planted trees here, and for whatever reason he's not doing it, even though I know it can still be done. So he's just kind of being lazy, it seems. I have it set so that it should be at 10 series of wood that should be on the ground at all time. But it may have been that the other people who don't have a set group are not actually, we're over there chopping down the wood, so. But anyway, I'm going to start going ahead and start working on the actual building of our town, so that people are in structures and that there's actual buildings that people can go ahead and work out of and live in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start clearing out some of this high land that we have around here and just mining this all down, because it's in my way. Really no other reason than that. I just want to get it out of the way. So we just had our first siege, and actually missed where it actually occurred at. It looks like it occurred right at our border here where all our personal rooms are. But It was an easy siege. It was only a couple spiders, and my soldiers and my citizens were able to quickly dispatch that. So during that siege, though, one of my soldiers did level up, and this was something that they added in a recent patch, that your soldiers now actually have levels. And this was to encourage you to keep your soldiers throughout the entire game, because they will progressively get stronger and stronger. So the longer you have them, the more attack, the more defense they'll have, and the better they'll do for your town for later levels when you actually get sieges that become harder. Because the more people you have, the harder your sieges, no matter what your difficulty is set at. So thought I'd clip in on that real quick, just give you guys a quick look at what a siege is. And as you can see, we're almost to the point where we can start building our town. They did clear a lot of my land, but I still have to burn a lot of mud to get it out of the way, and then I'm also gonna still chop down and cut these flowers and harvest the sugar cane and wheat that's still in the area before I go ahead and start building anything. Alright, so we finally cleared out the entire area here with our former mountains that we had over here, and got rid of all the mud that was in the way as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start digging, and I'm going to build a foundation for the first couple of our buildings. And in order to do this, I'm going to use our dig tool. And I make my rooms 3 by 3. So in order to build walls around that, you're going to need to make them 5 by 5. So I go ahead and build a 5 by 5 ground here. And that's for 1 room. So there's 2, there's 3, and we'll do 4 rooms. And we'll do floor. So we want a walkway between our rooms. But we're also going to dig this out as well. And it's basically going to be one giant building. So once they dig this out, I'm going to go ahead and go over here to my walls. I'm going to build this wooden wall, because this is kind of like the flooring I like for my base. My foundation, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that there. And they'll go ahead and start building these walls. Now, another thing we got an issue with is we have all this mud. So one thing I did while I was fast forwarding, and if you caught it or not, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to go over it real quick anyway. And if you go into utilities, you have this burner here. And I went and set one up over by all my raw materials. And basically what this allows you to do is build, destroy excess things that you have on the ground. And one of my excess things that I have on the ground right now is a lot of mud. So I went and stacked this up on the left here so that it burns a good portion, if not all, of the mud. Eventually I am going to use it, but right now I don't need any of it, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. And what this will do is it'll make people go run in here, grab the mud, bring it to the burner, and it's off the map. And that's one way without having to right click and then, go to the destroy thing every time for getting rid of that stuff. And it doesn't take up random spots in your resource pot. Another thing I did was I expanded these farms, and I also created farms for some flowers. And flowers are also going to be able to help us build some more aesthetic things that will keep up happiness, and it'll also allow us to build colors, and colors will come into play when we start building roofs and stuff. And there's other gear that are vanity items that you can go ahead and build those up as well. One thing else I'm going to set up now that I haven't done yet is I'm going to start building armor for everybody. And one way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set a minimum stock of 2 for every piece of wooden armor. And that's going to be your most basic set of armor. And it's the easiest one to set up and build. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to have 2 wooden longswords for everybody, and 2 wooden armor sets. And the first people I'm going to equip are obviously going to be my soldiers, because they need to be able to defend our town. And we did get another siege, and we did destroy a couple more spiders, and I'm not really sure where they're coming out of, because occasionally you'll have spiders and they'll drop spiderite, and the spiderite will help build better gear, because there's spiderite armor. And speaking of which, here's one right here. is a spiderite, and it's basically this little orb that comes on the ground, and there's several of them. And you can see, I have a general idea of what type of ites will drop on the ground. So you have your spiderites, goblinites, hobgoblinites, diorites, snickerites, zombites, ghoulites, and finally ogreites. And these things will drop on the ground, and you can build weapons out of them, and you can build gear out of them. And that's really their only purpose. I haven't really found anything else for them yet. So they're good to have around, especially when you start wanting to equip your people with better gear other than just wooden sets. So it looks like I have my first set done, so I'm going to hit auto equip on my soldiers, and they'll equip what they can that's already made. And she's running all over the place, so I don't know what she's trying to find. Apparently there was a vest over there, so that helps us out, I guess. So she's not going to actually take up one of the wooden vests. She's going to use this leather spiderite armor, which is better than the wooden vest anyway, so we'll go ahead and work with that. Since I'm building armor, I'm going to go ahead and put a stockpile down for armor and weapons as well. And this will just give them a basic place to go ahead and set the gear for now. I'm also going to put one down for weapons, and I'll go ahead and haul the weapons and armor over there. And that's where people can go ahead and arm up. So while this is all going on, I'm going to go ahead and speed up and process all this. And I'm actually going to end the episode here, but I'm going to continue playing, and then when we come back, I'll have my foundation built. And hopefully everybody will be geared up, and we can continue on from there. Thank you for watching this episode of I Play Game. Go ahead and click subscribe and keep an eye out for more episodes.